Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Enlightening Your Way. I am your host, Nancy Lombardo. We are airing live simultaneously on blogtalkradio.com/Lilydale Radio, and of course here on the Lilydale Assembly's official Facebook page. I am a full-time Lilydale resident, spiritualist and interfaith minister and healer. I'm also the president of the Church of the Living Spirit, which is an independent spiritualist church here in Lilydale. I'm a retired military veteran. I'm a military veteran, a retired police detective with a combined 32 years law enforcement experience. I'm a group fitness and yoga instructor, and wellness is my passion. My show is a combination of many of my life experiences that will feature various topics and guests to help enrich one mind, body, and soul on your pathway to healthy living. This show will also air on my Facebook page, Wellness with Nancy Lombardo, where my motto is protecting and serving your well-being. And I'm so happy to introduce our guest this week, Tami Holbury-Ferraro. Tami is a prayer chaplain, youth minister, and spiritual teacher for over 20 years. Tami says she has been a natural medium and healer for 55 of her 65-year life. Made up of her accomplishments as well as her failures, Tami is a forever grateful student of spirits. Tami is a loving wife of Joe, the mother of 4 children, 2 donkeys, 2 cats, and 11 chickens. We always have to put that in, don't we, Tami? And our topic this evening is finding your way in the dark with spirit. So welcome. Thank you so much for being with us this evening, Tami. Thank you so very much.
I'm so blessed to be here. Thank you.
You're very sweet. I met you, I guess it's been about a year ago, and at the church, and you joined the church, and you were just helpful, and your energy and the light around you is just a joy. And I just adore you. And can't wait to hear what you have to say to us and everybody that may not know you. I'm sure I'll get to learn something more about you tonight also. I'd like to begin by you maybe telling us a little bit more about you that I didn't put in the opening.
Well, first of all, the feeling's mutual. I care a great deal for you, and our congregation is a great group of people, and I'm happy to be with them. But yeah, at the age of 10, I found out that I was a medium, that I could connect with dead people. My great grandmother came to me after I had lost the ring that she had left to me in her will. And I wore that ring every day. And I knew if I ever lost it, for some reason, I knew she was going to come to me. So I don't know how the ring came off or whatever, but I was looking everywhere for it. And 2:30 in the morning, I woke up on a rainy night with thunder and lightning. And out my second story window, I saw my grandmother there with her arms crossed like this, and she had the big ring that she had left me, that I had looked for all day and night, tearing my room apart. She had it on, and she looked just like you and me. But of course, I knew she couldn't be out my second story window, right? Especially because she had passed away. And so 10 years old, I went freaking out, of course, running to my room and screaming that grandma oops in my window with the ring on. And of course, they told me no, I was seeing things that had to be the way the trees were moving or the lightning or something. And I said, no, I saw her out my window, just like I'm looking at you and me. And so they decided just to tell me that I was not seeing what I saw and shuffled me back to my room. And there on my nightstand was the ring that she had given me, that I had looked everywhere for in the room, tore it apart, and it wasn't anywhere. So it aported through my grandmother to my vanity next to the bed. And after that, of course, that was, let's see, 10 years old. That was in 68. Um, my mother was a manic depressive, and she went through a lot, mental health wise. So I didn't want anybody to think what they thought, that crazy word. Um, so I kept it to myself. And being in elementary school, I started reading every ghost story book I could because I related to them all, you know. Before that, before seeing her, I can say that I actually still felt spirit energies in my room. I could feel spirits in my closet looking at me at night, you know, to where I'd have to make sure that I turned the closet light on, you know, or something.
Would
And
that
they
would have
would
been
just,
would that would have been before you saw your grandmother, or did you start realizing that after
right,
you saw her?
right. That was before. I could still always feel some kind of energy that I knew that I related to a ghost, right? For some reason, because I had read ghost stories before then, of course. But yeah, just the feeling of a different energy in the room or somebody constantly watching you, looking at you. And so when I saw my grandmother, that was like the confirmation of no, your mind isn't just giving you these feelings for any reason, that it actually is something to look into. And that so then the whole story begins of, you know, reading the ghost stories, but then looking up old psychic mediums, you know, Gene Dixon and Arthur Ford and Raymond Moody. He's actually coming to
Lilydale.
Lilydale.
Yes, he is. Yeah.
And yeah, so they were like my lifesavers because they were talking about stuff that I could relate to, and still never talking to anybody else about, you know, being able to, I would get premonitions of things. um, I did later on in life told my mom that I could do psychometry, you know. It didn't sound so bizarre that I could feel energy, so she started pulling everything out of her jewelry box and that had been given to her, and would give it to me and say, okay, hold this, tell me what you get. And so when I could describe to her people that I never even had met, you know, uncles that had passed years and years ago when she was small, and things like that, that she started to believe, you know, that maybe I had a little bit of a gift. But like I said, I never kind of told them as much as I knew or could do because I didn't want to be set in that crazy, you know, oh, everybody thinks mediums are, you know, nuts or crazy or working with the devil, you know.
So would you
And I
basically
was always
say,
a great church person, so I knew I wasn't working with the devil because I love church and I love talking about God and, you know, things like that. So
would you say that throughout your like junior high and high school that that was with you, but it's not like you were giving messages or you were just kind of seeing what it was
I
all about?
right, I had a couple friends that I would actually, you know, we we used to do the things like light as a feather and all kinds of different, you know, actually table tipping too, um, things like that. And so there were a choice, maybe two or three girls that I was friends with that I would let know that I did that stuff, or would tell them of things that came to mind that would happen like a week and a half later, or, you know. And then those three people would come to me and keep asking me, well, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? You know, and uh,
It's like you said back
yeah,
in
so
19,
I was constantly being, yeah, I was constantly being confirmed, you know, just by things that I would get to tell them that could be acknowledged later, you know, a week and a half later or something like that when it would happen. So,
because back in 1968, like you said, that was a different time. You know, nowadays it's so popular. It's way out in media. It's almost like the thing to do right
right,
now. But
right.
back
Well,
then, people weren't even aware of what it was, and I'm sure it was looked down upon, if anything.
right,
So
right.
an interesting thing I find, you had kind of come up with the title of what we wanted to call this, and then I came back at you with a very similar title and kind of putting it with way with the dark with spirit. And um, why I found that interesting with you is you were 10 years old and I was 9 years old when I had a death in my family that I don't even understand what I was feeling. I kept feeling that presence, but it scared me. And I remember
Right.
like
Yeah.
running in the dark because I could feel this presence and it's like, you're
Right.
dead, what's going on? Why can I feel you? Why do I know you're there? And I was literally felt like I was running in the dark because I was so scared because I didn't have
Right.
anybody to talk to and didn't know what was happening.
Exactly. And really, a lot of people deal with guides and guardians and stuff like that. I always went to God. I always spoke to God. It was like, why am I feeling this? Why am I doing this? What's going on here? And I would receive answers. Um, then reading the books on the psychics and all that stuff, even up to date, they seem cookie cutter. They seem like pretty basic. And in order to, I think, connect with spirit, you need to go beyond that. And that's where you go to the innermost place, right? And you start doing the meditations and things like that, and realize that when you meditate, that you're actually connecting to the spirit self of yourself, because you become unaware of your body when you
Yes.
meditate.
Hmm.
You it's I can't tell people that don't meditate. You need to really try it, give it a chance. Take 2 weeks and constantly just do a little bit every day. But to be able to connect to that innermost spirit, your soul, and connect with the the higher energies, that way, you get so much more information. And that's where, going from being in the dark, right? I've always followed spirit's lead because I didn't know what else to do. There wasn't another book that was telling me what the next step
Oh,
was after those elementary kind of basic, studies. So, yeah, then I did a lot more meditating. And like I said, there's nothing that compares to that. It just makes you feel outside of yourself.
I know you're a healer also, like I am. And how would you believe that your mediumship and healing has helped others throughout your lifetime?
Oh, geez. I've had animals come to me when I was, 10 years old. I had a dove with a broken wing, and I've had my
Oh,
mom raised German shepherds, and so we have a lot of litters, and you know puppies would be into them being just limp nothings, and be to send them that beautiful healing energy. Just, I don't know, I think because I knew Jesus could do it. From what I was told in Methodist, the Methodist church is that Jesus could heal people. So I would just say, well, if Jesus could do it, then and making that animal whole, and it would happen, you know. And yeah, so it started with animals, and then somebody said to me one time, oh, their shoulder was bothering them or something. I said, oh, well, let me just lay my hands on it for a minute. I says, I've been experimenting with this, because I never wanted to give people that I was doing this stuff, right? I've been experimenting with this. So let me put my hands on your shoulder. And sure enough, I put my hands on her shoulder, and she started telling me, oh my gosh, I can't believe that the pain is leaving my shoulder. Well, the pain was coming into my shoulder. Okay. So I now in my body. And spirit told me that was so I knew where to like focus my energy. And once I felt that pain, that I was allowed to let it go. So even now today, when I put my hands on somebody, I feel the pain of what they're experiencing in my body, but only for a split second, right? To let me know where I need to focus that energy, or to, you know, just we know that the healing energy goes wherever it's supposed to go, but I still like to get that confirmation of where they're hurting. Makes me feel like I can concentrate that energy a little bit more in that direction.
sometimes
If that
being
makes
empaths is a difficult thing when you're feeling everybody's pain, and it could be a little overwhelming for sure. Um, I love the story you told me about how now your daughter, was she originally a naysayer, or has she been a believer all along?
She knew that there was something to it, and she believed it, but she was scared to death of it. Yeah, she's thinking ghosts. My mom's dealing with ghosts. There's got to be ghosts in the house. Mom, what are you doing? And I'd say, "Oh, Elizabeth, come on, let me teach you how to meditate." "Oh, no, 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 I don't want to see ghosts. I don't want to hear ghosts, anything like that." One day she calls me up on the phone, and I didn't even read tarot cards then. She says, "Mom, I started reading tarot cards." I said, "You what?" I says, "The one that's afraid of ghosts and everything." I says, "You're reading tarot cards?" She says, "Yeah, they're really easy." And I said, "Really? I've never read them." Before I know it, now she's got a crystal metaphysical shop in Girard, Pennsylvania. She's got, yeah, all the books, all the crystals, all the, anything that you need in order to further this. I think this is a year, and she's doing amazing things. But there's so many people that are so in need right now, right? To get in
Oh,
touch with
yes.
their spiritual side. And now it's accepted. It certainly was not accepted.
Um, and you could, of course, give yourself kudos for
One will never say that.
you and your daughter for putting together that psychic show you do in Erie. I think you said this was what year you've done this?
This is the fifth year. It would have been the seventh if we
And
didn't
it's like
have
the biggest psychic show they have in Erie, is it not?
an area. Yeah, yeah.
You know, you can
It's
talk to a lot of the mediums and registered mediums here, and they all do their work working these shows and, working these psychic fairs to get the practice, to get the experience, to fine tune,
right.
themselves as mediums. It's important to get out there and do all these mini readings for people. And it's great that you've turned this into such an event and put it out there for people and put a beautiful light on it. Also, your event was just
Well,
beautiful.
when she first came, because all the psychic fairs that I had been to, you know, you have the vendors, selling their wares and stuff. And a lot of times you go by their tables and they're looking at their phone, doing whatever they're doing. And they look up and they give you a quick little smile and they go back to their phone again, more or less just, look at my stuff. And if you're interested, great. If not, then go on, right? I said, no, I didn't want that. And, the mediums, they can be a bit catty sometimes and talking about each other and thinking that one's not better than the other. And I said, everybody is equal. There's enough for everybody we need. If we wanted to do a psychic fair, it had to be totally different. It had to be for the public, for them to come in, get their questions answered. First off, if somebody asks you a question, I tell the people this: if somebody asks you a question and you don't know the answer, please find somebody that does, or come to me and I'll find somebody that does. But it is all about awakening the other people that just have that little, what do I say, the little crack in the door to be opened, right? For them to come there. And I would see, because I greet people at the door, they come in and I see them kind of not knowing what to expect. And I tell them, this is my daughters and my psychic fair, and this is all about you getting the answers and the things that you need here, and the demos and the classes and stuff like that. I says, and if you have any problem with anything, just come find me. Well, by the time I see them again, they're either scurrying to go get their second or third reading ticket, right? To go get another reading after they've already gotten two, with these big smiles on their faces and walking out with bags and bags of things from the vendors, because the vendor from your table, right? But just pay attention. Every customer that comes here is important. And that's why our fair is so different. It's just because it's called the Love, Light, and Healing Psychic Fair. And that's exactly what it has to be.
And
People go from kind of minded to totally blown open and excited about what's next.
And I love that because stuff like what you have only helps here in Lilydale, where they might not be so afraid, because I know there's so many people that question and wonder what we do here, who we are here in Lilydale, and maybe it makes them less afraid and more wanting to come and check it out themselves and more willing to come through that gate and see what we're all about, for sure. So, I think that's only helpful to what our spiritualist community is here in Lilydale for sure. And that's great.
Right. And thank God to COVID. That's how I found, the Lilydale churches. Okay. Because I had been to Lilydale before and I love the grounds and everything. And I did Lisa Williams' 2-day advanced mediumship class like before she lived there, maybe 10, 15 years ago, even more than that. Anyways, yeah, so I knew of Lilydale, but now that I belong to the church there, I'm just, yeah, I just, the energy is magnified 100% for me there. And I finally found my home. I never fit in, raised Methodist. My father was always searching for a different church because he was gifted, but he wouldn't let anybody know. So he didn't feel he fit in any church either. So he drug us around when we were kids to all these other churches. And yeah, we never kind of found our niche. So when he was passing away, I told him that, yeah, Lilydale and everything about, how there's more to life than what people perceive, and that God isn't going to judge us when we get there, that we judge ourselves by going through our own life review and seeing how we made other people feel and things like that, because he was afraid to pass. And yeah, after that, he did pass that, and I'm no longer afraid.
I love that. I mean, I love that a lot. Would you have anything to say to the, and I'm sure you've seen, especially throughout the many years that you've been in doing this, the naysayers and the skeptics?
Yeah, matter of fact, every year when we would, and this year it didn't happen, but every year when we'd have our psychic fair, there was always one person that would come onto the page and say, um, "Oh, how can you call yourself a Christian, okay, and be a medium?" I said, "Well, I was brought up in the Christian faith, right? So I've actually gotten truths from all the different religions that my father took us along to, but I still kind of think of myself, because I believe in the God of my own understanding, which is, the same God that they spoke of, but without all the, doom and gloom and judgment and, you know, that I never did believe, even when I was little. So yeah, I think there was this one fellow that would always say, "How can you call yourself a Christian?" I said, "Because I feel that I am still a Christian, even though, I believe in spirit. It's, and life after death." And I didn't know how to explain it. But every year he came back and I says, "Well, you know what? It always kills me that um, people that say that they're Christian, just like others, they can be such hypocrites at times, right? And and judge other people when they're not supposed to do that. They believe supposedly that God is the judgment, right? But they're so quick to judge people. And I, I just think that people need to open up to their own understanding of, uh, religion. Spirituality is different than religion,
Mm,
right? You can be spiritual without belonging to a certain religion. And I
totally.
think that's just connecting with the source that you understand. And it really doesn't need a title. And I actually thought that, being Pennsylvania, that we would get some kind of people with their picket signs coming when we were going to put the psychic there. And thank goodness that didn't happen, because I've heard of a lot of places that that has happened, you know, and I can see me out there on the soapbox saying, "You need to understand, that's not what it's about." And it's about finding your own spiritual nature and your connection to your soul, and um, how to better advance yourself for your highest and best good.
I love that. And you're right. Our number one principle, we do believe in God. We do absolutely believe
Right.
in God. And we are accepting of all religions. And to watch mediumship and healing at its craft, and when it's done beautifully and correctly, it's miraculous to watch. And
It is.
it does make you a true believer. um, when you see evidence that comes through that no one else could know that evidence, or when you see people touched by healing, even if it was only 10 minutes long,
Right,
they know something happened. They can feel something happen. They're not sure what happened, but they were definitely touched by the God of their own understanding for sure in their own
right.
special way. And I think that's all just beautiful in
Yeah.
and of itself.
It's amazing when you put your hands on people and you can feel that wonderful feeling of being connected, right? Being
Yeah,
all part of the one when we're channeling that divine energy for healing.
right.
It's like us, you know, the person we're healing, us and the divine spirit all working together as one. And there's not a better feeling in the world.
So do you feel that this has enriched your life throughout your life?
At first, it was a little scary, I'll say, but as I can remember when I first started doing readings, I had one message come through, and I used to argue with Spirit all the time. No, I'm not giving that message. And Spirit would say, oh, yes, you are giving that message. And I'd say, no, I'm not. And it wouldn't stop. It would be just, yeah, you are. Yeah, you are. So the one time I got a message for a lady, uh, it was a purple elephant with pink polka elephant. Finally, in the reading, I said to this lady, all right, I'm seeing this purple elephant with pink polka dots. I don't know why. And she burst out in tears and said that was my favorite stuffed animal that I used to sleep with every night when I was a kid.
Oh, that's so
So
cool.
we can't decipher or spirit's message. We need to just give spirit's message how we get it. It's not for us to understand, it's for them
Yeah,
to
totally.
understand, right? So when I gave that to her, once again, it was confirmation from spirit. See, I told you you needed to give that message. Another time I was doing a meetup group. Um, I used to take 5 hours to write my meditations for my groups because even if we were doing psychometry, the meditation would be all about the instructions on how to do psychometry at the same time, right? So I do all this research and stuff and put that into my meditations. The one time I decide to do it on my laptop and take it there, I open my laptop to do the meditation and it's gone. I don't know if it didn't save, but anyway, spirit made it so it wasn't there. And I said, I know exactly what you're doing. I says, you just better freaking have my back, is what I said. And sure enough, I gave the meditation just by channeling spirit, without all the hoopla and everything of what I needed. I had more people come up to me after that meditation and say that was the best meditation you've ever done. And I never wrote another meditation after that. They were all off the cuff with spirit. So
Right.
it just comes down to trusting spirit and what messages you get, even though they sound so bizarre, you know.
Well, I know you've been to many more classes than I ever have, but I know in studying mediumship, that is what they drill home to us all the time. Trust, trust, trust. No matter how off the wall you might think this is, where's this coming from? Say it, because inevitably, like you said, boom, it's correct. And you
It's
just
the
think
biggest
it's
evidence.
yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's the greatest evidence. You're exactly right about that. I know you've mentioned psychometry a couple different times. Would you like to explain what that is for people that might not know what that is?
Sure. Different items that people may have had in their presence for a long time or jewelry usually holds a lot. Easier to read, I should say, vibration. But rings and things like that, like I said, my mom would pull things out of her jewelry box, a ring or something like that, and hold it and just close my eyes and ask spirit what the message is that this item has to tell me. And I get mostly what used to throw me off is I couldn't tell the difference between my own thoughts and spirit's thoughts because of course with telepathy it comes through as your own thought process. So I'm like, okay, spirit, tell me how I know the difference between your messages and my messages. And Spirit started giving me words I'd have to look up in the dictionary because I didn't know them. And it
Mhm.
was like, okay, my mind couldn't come up with that word because I don't know that word. So, okay, Spirit, I know you're talking to me. And yeah, I'd look up the word and I'd say, okay, that's confirmation that Spirit is using my own thought patterns in order to give me messages. So that's what the psychometry is. There's been times a woman came in and gave me a sweatshirt of a nephew of hers that had passed away. And just by holding that up to my chest and holding it, I could, give her a message from that and, you know, tell her about him and what he was like. And
Mhm.
it's neat how objects can hold the energy.
Yeah, actually,
And
I
the
would do
same way,
circles. I'm sorry. I was just gonna say I'll do circles with Judith
no,
Rochester here in Lilydale, and that was one of the times she would do that as one of her classes, and I think Celeste Elliott that does the circles now also does that. It's definitely, items do hold energy, and it's one of my favorite classes to do just to see what people bring and what you can come up with. Yeah, it's very interesting.
right. I find that when I do that for people that are even new coming into my meditation group or something like that, every single person will get a message from what they're holding. What,
Yeah.
what we do is everybody brings, I make them go and I take the blanket off and they take the one that they feel drawn to. And yeah, they come back and when it comes time to give the message, even if it's just short little messages, they're all so meaningful, and it really is a good way to jumpstart people that are just starting to do that
Yeah.
for the first time.
Yeah, good point. So I know you go
Yeah,
Facebook Live and do tarot cards on live, and I asked you maybe we can sum this up by you pulling a card for the group, then everybody that is listening and watching this evening, and give us a message from that.
sure. I've got these little lovely cards that whenever I need to give a message for some group of people or a bunch of people, I always just because it's kind of good little message in it. I always just ask Spirit to give me the highest and best message for all the people that are listening and watching that would like something to uplift their day and help them on their path for their highest and best good. And I'll find a lot of times that the cards, when I ask questions like that, I'll be shuffling and all of a sudden one will go flying out and I have to chase it across the room. But I've got one for us tonight, today. And it says, Dearest you, and this is Spirit speaking to you. Dearest you have a unique purpose and destiny that only you can fulfill. But first, you need to know that destiny isn't a destination. You don't arrive at some special place where, poof, you're perfect and happy all the time. It's about establishing and firming up a commitment to a certain experience, whatever form that takes. Your soul knows what you need to experience. Your destiny is to be present to all of life's adventures, to discover your talents and full potential through allowing inspiration to lead you, and to risk standing apart from the crowd to listen to your own soul. That's really important. Everybody is so unique, and everybody can't be expected to learn or to feel the same way as anybody else. You are special as much as you are also, paradoxically, one with the world, individual yet part of a great whole. Both truths have led you to this moment where we are saying you are on the right track, even if your ego self doesn't see that. Listen to your soul. Check in with your spirit. Keep going. Spirit loves you. Life loves you. We love you.
That's a great message.
That was beautiful.
It goes perfect for what we've been talking about. So I love that. That's a really,
Yes.
really nice.
Yes. I
I,
got God bumps, which is a confirmation of the truth.
yeah, I get that too. Yeah, I've been telling people that like I got goosebumps. That means you call them God bumps. Yeah, I love that.
Yep.
Can you tell people how they can
Yep.
find you?
You can find me on Facebook at Spiritually Connected Facebook page. And also, I have a page that people can order readings if they want, and it's called Love and Light dot Store Envy, but the E from store and envy they share, so it's only one E. So it's Love and Light dot Store Envy.com.
Perfect. If anybody has any comments or questions they might want to ask, they can put it in the comments on Facebook and we will get back to you on that for sure. Tami, I can't thank you enough for joining me this evening and having this lovely conversation, for being a part of the church, the congregation, being a part of Lily Dell. You and Joe are just great to have. So thank you so very much.
Thanks for
Um,
having me.
You will see me again in 2 weeks for Enlightening Your Way, where my goal is to help enrich your mind, body, and soul on your pathway to healthy living. Please visit this page often, especially we got season coming up, fast and furious. I believe our opening season for Lily Dell is June 23rd. And we have a whole lineup of stuff coming up, about 160 workshops, season highlights in the auditorium. All 4 churches will be rotating church services in the auditorium, free stump readings, messages. There's just a lot going on. If you've never been to Lily Dell, now's the time to come and experience what we already know and love here in Lily Dell. Please like my Facebook page, Wellness with Nancy Lombardo, and Instagram, nancy.k.lombardo. My name is Nancy Lombardo. I am protecting and serving your well-being. Good evening, everybody, and thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.